2019 Aston Martin DB11 car review. There's a crackling rush through the 2019 Aston Martin DB11 AMR's 630 horsepower V12 engine, mainly because it hurtles from corner to corner being a glossy, Art Deco bullet. In supplanting the last non-AMR DB11 V12 coupe, incorporating the Aston Martin racing suffix for the sleek top plus toes name denotes its status since the new Zenith from the DB11 lineup, a designation the British brand intentions to affix to the top of each of its model lines moving forward. But the AMR isn't a brazen-tracked A-warrior. Such distinction is available Aston's even further fortified AMR Pro moniker that won't apply to the DB11, but rather a graceful tornado of fashion and speed, infused with just enough racing fumes for on epicenters to feel a tad bit more special for splurging on its top dollar billing. The good points of 2019 Aston Martin DB11: splendid noise, gorgeous presentation, effortless grand touring performance. The bad points of 2019 Aston Martin DB11: our lottery numbers haven't yet are available in token back seats, heightened reflexes. Without driving the AMR consecutive with a 2018 DB11 V12 coupe, it's challenging to discern the improvements because of the new car's modest chassis updates, which encompass revised tuning for your 3-stage adaptive dampers, a rather stiffer rear anti-roll bar, and firmer engine mounts and bushings to the rear suspension and subframe. Matt Becker, Aston's chief engineer and idea and handling guru, describes them as lending a sharper, more connected feel by stiffening the rear end in the car, yet without infringing upon the DB11's unflappable poise being a high-speed grand tourer. The smooth roads of northern Germany, which bear little resemblance for the heavily potholed thoroughfares on the Midwest, also tempered our gluteal sensors on our first go with the modern car. But the DB11 AMR was resolutely composed essentially everywhere it went. Corners are greeted with pleasantly firm and progressive brake feel, and grip levels are communicated via light tugs through the precise and fluidly weighted helm. The car's considerable size never strays not even close to mind, nonetheless it feels as lithe and controllable as may be expected of an roughly 4,200-pound rear driver endowed with this particular much power. The suspension's firmness is selected using a toggle for the left spoke with the steering wheel. Regardless on the mode, there's a tautness on the AMR's responses mainly because it rockets in and out of first gear switchbacks. Nonetheless it's also relaxed enough permitting the chassis to assuredly flow over narrow, rolling lanes at near triple-digit speeds. Even while using dampers cranked with their firmest state, the DB11 AMR never warrants the descriptor harsh. On de-restricted sections on the Autobahn, the effortlessness which the AMR can cruise at 150 miles per hour allows its front seat occupants to wind down in the firm and not overly supportive chairs for very long stretches during a period. Muscles flexed. It's another bit not easy to notice the AMR's revised engine calibration, which frees yet another 30 horsepower over the last V12 DB11. Its 630 horses get right to the same 6,500 revolutions per minute, with torque staying put at 516 lb-ft from just 1,500 revs. There's simply massive levels of shove on tap continually. Lag in the twin-turbo 5.2-liter V12 is virtually non-existent, and power builds which has a satisfying linearity up for the 7,000 revolutions per minute red line. Bury your right foot to the carpet and also the AMR pulls by having an almost electric fervor, also it can easily overwhelm its 29535ZR20 rear tires on frisky corner exits without feeling uncouth. Far more essential is the finessing on the AMR's active exhaust system, which, when fully uncorked, rocks an abundant, melodious tune that belies the two compressors muffling the engine's exhaust pulses. it's less the smooth, high-pitched wail of classical V12s plus much more a crisp, guttural growl, with loud pops and crackles for the overrun that could not only be heard and also felt from the cabin yet never sound forced or synthesized. The only acoustic helper is usually a sound tube pipe from the firewall on the engine bay. Think Jimmy Page accompanying the London Symphony Orchestra. The DB11's various driving modes GT, Sport, and Sport Plus, selected by way of a toggle around the right steering wheel spoke vary the intensity and the noise as well because aggressiveness on the throttle and transmission programming. GT mode is the best for leaving your house without angering the neighbors, and Sport Plus is fantastic for when you're turning hot laps with the track. But Sport may be the perfect mixture of everyday civility and entertainment the AMR should default to upon startup. The Zaurst 8-speed automatic receives updated programming and is also an excellent match with the DB11 AMR's setup. It has creamy torque delivery and tight, smartly timed shifts, and yes, it responds well for the big column-mounted shift paddles. Andy Palmer, Aston CEO, has Awachi indicated that this likely would be the brand's preferred form of auto gearbox moving forward. Our only niggle could be the transmission's rather clunky and abrupt upshift from second to third gear, particularly a lot more sport mode, that could briefly unsettle the rear with the car when excel out of any corner. Lightweighting measures are pretty much limited to your AMR's 20-inch frigid aluminum wheels, which save a claimed 8 pounds per corner versus cast pieces. With a curb weight roughly much like before, a lot more powerful AMR should shave a tenth or two away from the Awachi respectable 3.6 second 0 to 60 mph time posted because of the last DB11 V12 coupe we tested. Top speed is often a claimed 208 miles per hour in comparison with its predecessor's 200. Earning its place. Buyers can pluck from Aston Martin's plethora of color and trim options to temper the visual distinction on the AMR. Evidently this version does render your roof strakes, side sills, and front splitter in gloss black as standard. Along while using performance upgrades, further contributions for the $241,000 AMR's approximate $22,000 premium within the DB11 V12 certainly are darkened grille and headlight surrounds along with smoked tail light lenses. Dark chrome switchgear, satin carbon fiber trim, and fluorescent lime stripes down the center on the seats along with the headliner then add zest on the beautifully turned out cabin without overdoing it with racing-influenced ostentation. If that's your personal style, though, browse one on the 100 examples on the $270,000 DB11 AMR Signature Edition which will be painted in AMR's sterling green hue with bold lime exterior accent stripes. The seating position overlooking the DB11's long hood is fantastic, and digging in contemporary electronics and Mercedes-Benz's infotainment interface for Daimler's 5% stake in Aston Martin have greatly improved usability over those of Aston's previous ancient in-car technologies. Even together with the change to AMR-only guise, Aston Martin's V12-powered DB11 remains as striking to behold the way it is driven automobile. A totem of rolling sculpture and fire-breathing badassery engrossed in sophisticated refinement. While the presence of Mercedes-AMG's awesome twin-turbo 4.0-liter V8 within the standard DB11 coupe and Volante convertible is of little sacrifice to purse choosing the wind of their hair or even more budget-minded sale price, the Aston Martin racing treatment equates for the extra little kick we'd be ready to receive from stepping as much as any car using a V12 engine.